The Hebrew lunar calendar was changed to a solar calendar by the Romans and included pagan celebrations like the ancient spring fertility festival honoring the goddess Yastre. Yes, Yastre. So the traditional colors were pastel greens, yellows, and purple, and the symbols were bunnies and eggs. Now, this day is called Easter Sunday, commemorating the day Jesus rose from the dead. Okay, so they didn't stop there. The days and years were reset to 0 to mark the day Jesus was born. As a result, the previous years were now moving backward instead of forward until the year 1 BC, immediately followed by 1 AD. No year 0. Guess they thought no one would notice. It's only been almost, 3,000 years? We're close to it. Well, better late than never, I guess. Well, it just goes to show you, they can change the dates, change the calendars. Doesn't matter. It's all catching up to them. Home sweet home. Can't wait to take a nice hot shower later. I think I've got some leftovers. Maybe make some kind of a fizzy tropical drink. Sounds good. If I'm lucky, some gin, some pineapple juice, some fresh mint, and whatever's left over from last night. Hope I've got some gin. Really hope I've got some gin. I really hope I've got some gin. Mint would be nice. My lucky day. Getting better all the time. Better. Getting better all the time. I used to get mad at my school. Teachers who taught me were cool. Holding me down. Turning me around. Filling me up with your rule. Ooh, I got to get better. It's getting better, a little better, all the time. Can't get no worse. I don't know about that. Once this all comes out, then what are they gonna do? Can't really worry about that. I mean, at this point, there's really no going back. I know. I've got to finish that museum installation, but I really want to work on the Jonah story. That's so basic. Everybody knows that story, and they know it through Jesus, but it's really from Tanakh, from the Old Testament. 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of a whale? Are there even whales in the Mediterranean?
Were you silent or were you silenced?
We now return you to Carl Phillips at Grover's Mill.
Ladies and gentlemen, my honor. Ladies and gentlemen, here I am, back of the stone wall that adjoins Mr. Wilmer's garden. From here, I get a sweep of the whole scene. More state police have arrived. They're drawing up a cordon in front of the pit.
But people know Jesus, about the story of Jonah through Jesus mostly. But all that other stuff has to come out. And it's just gonna have to be blunt. Were they celebrating or worshiping? This is not how you worship someone. This is how you celebrate the yikes. That's not how you remember your loved ones. Bound and gagged and beaten. Oh, but that's to show what was done to him. What was done to him by them. them. They're the ones that did it. No way. This is a spoil of war, a trophy. There's no other way to put it. Well, the Romans used to write their V's like upside down N's. Over time, the V became an N. Ivri is Hebrew for Hebrew or Jew. So why did they continue to write Inri instead of Ivri? They didn't write King of the Jews. They just wrote Jew. That's the truth. Remember, the Romans were at war with the Jews at the time. This is how the Romans executed those they wished to make an example of, so everyone could see. Anyway, he was right. An evil generation need only see the signs in the story of Jonah. So, I guess it's story time. What do they say? Those who have ears... Ow, just bumped my toe on the table. Ow. Emphasis on the word time. Why? Because Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. That adds up to 6. Just like the 6 days in the week. And the 7th day is a day of rest or peace. If Jonah had been in the belly of that fish 1 day longer, but he realizes he's at the end, so he begs for forgiveness and makes a vow to Yah, and immediately he's forgiven and the fish vomits him to shore. Now we're going to see that same lesson when Jonah gets to Nineveh, told in a slightly different way. But before we get there, we mustn't forget that the signs aren't just for Jonah, but for everyone. Jonah first attempted to flee to Tarsus, an ancient port in modern-day Turkey. Big mistake. But after he boards the ship, Yah sends a terrible storm on the sea, and the sailors, before realizing Jonah was the cause, began praying to their gods to save them. But when Jonah tells them their misfortune for disobeying his God, they pray to his God before throwing him overboard, and the storm immediately subsides. And after making a vow of gratitude to Yah, they make their way safely to shore. They still threw him overboard, but now you get a feel for the plan. Yah is the only salvation, and he's very forgiving. Now listen up. When Jonah gets to Nineveh, it's such a large city it takes him 3 days to move throughout the city, and he's proclaiming 40 more days, and your city will be destroyed. And he's right. Remember the Shabbat week model. 6 days. So if they don't change by the 6th, by the 7th, their city will have been destroyed. And we're heading towards the year 6000. And this is why those who were not in the book of life since the beginning of time are trying to screw it up for everyone else. And that's what we're dealing with on a very large scale. But the people of Nineveh took heed. The king of the city even removed his crown and robes. Dressed in sackcloth, it's a really uncomfortable, scratchy material made of goat's hair, and proclaimed all the citizens pray to Yahweh for forgiveness, make a vow to change their evil ways, and proclaimed a citywide fast from food and water that even extended to all the animals. And he forgave them and did not destroy their city. But again, for some reason, so upsets Jonah, and his soul was so conflicted, he asked Yahweh to take his life. What? Now the conversation takes a keen Yahweh turn. The ones you know is Cain and Abel, but Cain is the Hebrew. It's Jin in Chinese, by the way. There's a big hint there, but anyway, that's for a later time. Jonah. Anyway, Yah asks, isn't knowing you have done well enough? Yet I should not have had compassion on a large city with many people who don't know their right hand from their left, as well as all the animals? So you don't need to be a prophet or a mathematician. It's very basic. That's a good start anyway. But will they listen and make the changes needed in time? Life is so simple, so complicated, so beautiful, so awful, so amazing. Look at the noisy birdies out here this morning.
Something that said, take a look at what happened.
Anyway, that's it for tonight. I'm feeling I'm going to dream like crazy. Oh well, have a chill day tomorrow, sort of. Does anybody else have footnotes to their dreams? Probably not.
That we can start to work together.
I'd like a steak, medium, and 2 elephants came and a policeman bit my head off, and a cup of tea, please.
Peace, genuine peace.
It's a big place, man. You know.
But whenever we do that little dance up the yellow brick road,
I'm just a patsy. President.
I do not understand.
More or less the same, you know. They're the same all over the world.
È lei che canta.
I love that song. To the east of the garden. Right, there it is. Right. It was in that movie, L.A. Story, and the Bible. But it's in the middle of nowhere. Who waters it? That's the mystery. It waters itself. They say it's only about 400 years old. It was moved, right? Keep digging. Oh, I will. But did you notice? Right across, right over there, the Lur tree, the tree of enlightenment. Do they know it's there? Of course they do. Remember, the best place to hide is. Right, and it's a Bodhi tree. Siddhartha sat under a Bodhi tree. And Adam and Hava? Well, every part of this tree is medicinal, not just the figs. Think Ayurveda, and the leaves make great camouflage. Okay then, I guess it's back to the garden. Should I grab a fig? Oh, no. Alrighty then. First El-Hayam was in the skies above the land, and as he hovered over the waters, the land looked dark and desolate. And he said, soon it will be light, and in the light the land looked good. And he called the light Yaom, and the night La'il. So he was hovering over the water. That was dusk to dawn on Yaom 1. That's right. El-Hayam is an acronym for El of the waters. Babylonian texts speak of Enki, also known as Ea. Well, in the Babylonian text, he's the son of the god An and his consort Anu. Enki-Ea is depicted as the lord over all the waters. Now, in the same text, An-Il was another son of Anu, the brother of Ea. Did y'all call the darkness La'il, which in Hebrew means to Il? Because that's what he thought of him, who he was? It's that brother thing again. Good, evil, dark, light. But who is this great god An? I remember he told Moshe his name was Ea, father of Enki-Ea, father of An-Il, father of the Titans, the giants. Did you hear that? Titans, Jai, or Gi-ants. Where did they come from? Where did they go? Are they still here? The Anunnaki just means people of An. Well, the ancients say he came from or by way of Ti-an, Gu-an, which means Heaven's Gate in Chinese, also known as Zetatori, in the constellation of Taurus, the bull. The bull, worshipped by the ancient Egyptians. This blue star is one of the hottest stars in the universe. But if we take a closer look, we see that just below that is Si-Pa-Diana, the shepherd of heaven, Orion, leading to Zetatori. Off to one side is Art-on, known as Leo, but it looks more like a sphinx. And below, the large Canis star, Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky, lighting the way to and from the gate of heaven. Looking up from here, it looks like a map of the Giza Plateau. Doesn't it? No, seriously, doesn't it? I guess I've got to text that photo. If I can find it, it's on that other hard drive. Oh, did I even sleep? What time is it? Wow, the birds are singing. I know, I hear you. I usually wake up early, but rise slowly. That morning, I rolled over to check the notifications, lighting up the screens on all my devices. Check your Amazon deal. Friction liked your reply. Your Bitcoin deposit of 33 million was initiated. You have new photo memories. Your $5 Temu coupon expires today. Your Bitcoin deposit of 33 million is now available. Wouldn't that be nice? I said, sliding into my fuzzy slippers, quickly shuffling to the kitchen to preheat my espresso machine and fill the milk steamer before giving in to a raging urge to go to the bathroom. That sorted, I made my bed, headed back to the bathroom to wash up, brush my teeth, then back to the bedroom to put on a bra, change into sweats, then back to the kitchen to fill my cup before making my way to the couch to start my day. Glad I put a bra on. The minute, and I mean the minute, I sat down, I heard 2 or 3 soft knuckle taps on the front door, which is weird because nobody knocks here. Everybody rings the bell. I assumed it was a neighbor or the doorman, so I opened it without looking through the peephole. Mistake or fate? 3 gringos in cosplay tourist get-ups, Panama hats, puffy vests, hiking boots, pushed their way in very forcefully. One makes a stand in front of the now closed door, crossing his arms firmly. Another points for me to sit in the upholstered chair by the window, usually meant for guests, and quickly pulls up a stool at my knees, locking me in, while the third seats himself on a bar stool at the kitchen counter. "We know you're alone. We've been watching you for a while," said, trying to make himself appear comfortable on the wooden seat of the stool. "Okay," I answered sarcastically. "So, we have an offer you can't refuse," said green puppy vest guy facing me, while simultaneously slapping the leather strap of his keychain on the inside of his thigh. A little disconcerting. "Oh, really? And what would that be?" I asked, looking over at my untouched cup of coffee on the coffee table. "Just beyond my reach." "Whose terms?" "And what will I be writing about exactly? And could you hand me my glasses? They're in that basket behind you." "I see. Wow. Just wow. So bizarre. That's a lot of money to invest in. In what? You really think that would be the end of everything? I mean, I'm nobody really. There are a lot of other voices out there louder than mine. Some really important people. And of course, there is the God factor. Why not just, get rid of me now, the old-fashioned way?" "And if I refuse?" "You mean kidnap me?" Wow, that's a lot to think about. First thing in the morning, I have to go to the bathroom so bad. Would I have to sign something or what? And off I went, even getting a cheery thumbs up from Red Puppy Vest as I passed him. I half smiled and softly closed the door behind me at the end of the hall to my bedroom. But after a few minutes, maybe 3 or 4, Black Puppy Vest, who could see a little way down the hall from his position, asked, "Why didn't you just use that bathroom?" He nodded, tilting his head to one side toward a half-open door just beyond the doorway of the hall. obviously a half bath or powder room with just a toilet. And at that, they all raced to the back bedroom, only to find a large window box wide open, curtains pushed aside, with 3 large owls staring up at them. Except for the sound of a car alarm, the national bird of Ecuador in the distance, from their view, the street below looked desolate, ominously so. Sundays in Ecuador don't get going till afternoon or 1 p.m., if even. Not wishing to take their chances with the owls, the 3 made their way down to street level via the stairs, pushing their way past the doorman who had just arrived for a shift, and within a few minutes they were picked up by 2 guys in a newer Jeep and a lone driver in a mini SUV. Except for the drivers, all were on their phones, talking, waving their hands wildly in the air, pointing and looking around, but to no avail. There was no sign of a barefoot woman in black sweats and red reading glasses. Vamos.
$20 y recibe uno gratis. Aproveche esta promoción que es por lanzamiento. Acción triple.
Day 2. In day of El Hayam, the arch structure separating the waters was deteriorating, and El Hayam repaired the damaged structure that separated the waters above the arch from the waters below, and it was so. And El Hayam called the arch in the skies Shamaim, that was dusk to dawn on the second Yahom. So, El Hayam repaired a dam on the land, an ancient dam, most likely the most ancient dam in the world. He also began teaching them how to read the skies. Catching a ride from Ecuador to Bolivia on the Pan American Highway takes about 40 hours. Driving from Ecuador to Bolivia on cow trails high in the Andes takes about 160 hours, unless it rains, which it usually does most days in the late afternoon, or it gets so foggy you can't see a foot in front of you. Then double or triple that. But the graciousness and hospitality of the indigenous people who have maintained these ancient trails for centuries makes a very long and oftentimes treacherous journey seem less so. I had asked them to wake me up when we reached the Peru side of Lake Titicaca, but apparently I was so deep asleep. He thought it better I rest, and he was probably right. The night before, most of the day was rough, cold, and wet. The roads were soppy and at times completely lost their shape. Other times there were piles of mud and huge boulders on the road that had slipped from the hills above. I was amazed at such times villagers would appear from somewhere in the foggy mirages with shovels and sandbags to repair the roads, and offer water, juice, and cup hot soup for those like us who either wouldn't or couldn't wait hours or even days for the weather to clear.
¿Dónde he crecido? ¿Dónde he pasado? Toda mi vida.